Hey guys, my name is Tim and I've been fixing BMWs for over a decade now, but today we have 2014 Porsche Cayman S for what? The valve cover gasket replacement. This is a Cayman S, it has 3.4 liter Boxster engine, so it's a mid-engine car, so we will have to remove the rear wheels for this procedure. I do believe that it's the same on 2.7 liter, so the base Cayman and probably the same generation 2014 till 16, the GTS version. So that would be pretty much identical job to do on all of those models. And me being a BMW technician, I have never actually worked on the Porsche like this, so that would be my first time, and I'm kind of excited to do so. So let's get to it. Before we start, guys, I want to remind you about the membership program. For $5 and $10 a month, you can have direct access to me. If you have any problems with your BMWs, please don't ask me about Porsches. Like, I know stuff, but I'm not that good at it. But if you have problems with your BMWs, just become a member and we can solve your issues together. We can share data, we can get on a call, and I will help you as much as I can to navigate your problems with your car. So that's what the membership program is for, or you can just support the channel and just become a member for that. Thank you. Here's how this video is going to go. First of all, I'll post the list of tools you need to complete the job fully. Secondly, the symptoms you can experience when you have the valve cover gasket leak. And third, of course, the DIY itself. First thing you will find out when you remove the rear wheel, that the valve cover, which is right there, is obstructed by the catalytic converter, which is also the exhaust manifold. So this part right here, the catalytic converter, is bolted on directly to the block, so we'll have to disconnect it from there. And also there's those are E12 or E14, like I'll get back to you on that, the bolts for the exhaust manifold. So don't forget to get the exhaust manifold gasket. And then we do have the other 13mm bolts right here, the connecting the other pipe, exhaust pipe, to the catalytic converter. So those two bolts. But before we do all of that, there is oxygen sensors right here. So two oxygen sensors also will have to be disconnected. And while we're at it, it's like the next step, it's like we will go underneath. So under the car we have this reinforcement bar, which is held by four 16mm nuts and, most importantly, one 16mm bolt. So as you can see, my jack is obstructing me from removal of this shield, and it's obstructing the last bolt. So technically I have to lower it down, remove the bolt, and then remove the shield, remove the bolt, and then lift the car up again. So it's a hassle. So just be aware of that before you lift it. The other side actually wasn't obstructing that much. Like, I guess the rail was a little bit pushed further. So I will be able to take it out with just 16mm wrench. It's just going to take some time. So we will need to remove that bar in order to, in the end, remove the exhaust manifold altogether. So, and from here, those are the bolts for the exhaust manifold. Those are E12s right here, very visible, all of them. There is nothing hidden in here. And there is a bracket. So this bracket right here, it's also important. It's also E12. You don't need to remove those 13mm bolts. So E12, E12, E12. So remove the whole thing. You'll thank me later. So yeah, that's how we're gonna proceed. So this is first, then unbolt everything there, remove it, and in the meantime, I want to, well, technically the oxygen sensors are not that tight, so even when the manifold is loose, I should be able to take the oxygen sensors out, or loosen them at least. So that should be not that hard. Let's get to it. So I'll start with those 13mm bolts. You can soak them in the WD-40 or something that breaks the rust, sort of, because those are usually tough bolts. All right, that's loose. And the other one is a bit... Nothing is really hidden in here, but some bolts are easier to reach than the others. So now it's going to take a bit of time, but I'll take them out. So now this rail is out and it clears the path for the cat to be moved down, basically. Those are 16mm nuts. The end is 16mm bolt. It was kind of a struggle for me because my rail covers it, but yeah, just be aware of that. Now we're gonna remove this E12 and all the E12 that connect the exhaust manifold to the block, to the head, basically. So as you can see, after you remove the 9 exhaust manifold bolts that connected to the head, it's already movable, and of course removing this bracket bolt, so it's moving. At this point, now I would like to remove the bracket itself. So there's 2 E12 bolts right here on each side. All the bolts of the exhaust manifold are really accessible and clearly visible. That's the only thing I used, E12 with the 12-inch extension. That's all it is. And that's what I'm going to use for those bracket bolts. Oh, there we go. Here's the exhaust manifold gasket. Well, this side is definitely more willing to come out than the other one. And the bracket is out. And the only thing that holds this catalytic converter exhaust manifold in place is oxygen sensors. Well, let's get on top. So now we have 2 oxygen sensors exposed. Those are 22mm. I'm gonna be using the tool like this. Can connect it. And it shouldn't be too tough. It's like I can hold the exhaust in place and remove the O2 sensors. Or there is another route. Basically those 2 O2 sensors go deep inside over there, but they're ending up right here. I kind of can't show you guys, but you can follow the wires and the and it leads to connectors inside. Let me try to take those out first. If not, because of course it's easier to do when it's stable, but they're not that exposed when they are. So I loosened one, and for the other one, let's see, there we go. One of them was a bit tighter than the other, this one, post-cat. So both oxygen sensors are loose. Like this one, from here on out I can just remove by hand. And this one, yeah, this one too. we go. And now, there we have it. Catalytic converter out. So now we do have access to the valve cover and the bolts surrounding it. Those are Torx 30, as well as ignition coils bolts at Torx 30. Then we do have variable timing solenoid right here in the middle. Those are E8s. And I believe we should have another timing solenoid, and I also see the camshaft position sensor. So this one Allen 5 most likely. So coils out and the solenoid out. Then we'll continue. Like most of it we'll have to do from the bottom. It's like because we need to see what's going on out there. So yeah, just but the axis is clear. We do have plenty of room in here inside, so to remove the coils. And I will also be replacing the spark plugs at the same time, since I definitely don't want to do this job again. That's although it's fun, I do like it, sort of. All right, so let's remove the coils and the plugs. Those are Torx 30 on all of them. Nothing special. And to remove the connector, I'm going to be using the pick tool. So I'll put it right here, as you can see, to lift it up and push the connector out. This is it. Nice and simple. Now let's get the bolt out. There we go. And we have to move the coil straight out. There we go. There it is, ignition coil. The OEM one is Barrow, Germany. Gotcha. So we'll do this with all three of them, the other two, and get back. All right, guys, so I'm not going to talk about all those visible bolts that we have, but important thing is, well, disconnect the variable timing solenoid. Those are push and release brackets right there. There we go. So you just need to push it and pull it out. And we need to clear the valve cover of everything that attached to it. So those ground wires, Torx 30 right here. Then we do have this bracket right here, which is also Torx 30. I see in the back, it's impossible to show you guys, but in the back there is a crankcase ventilation hose, the same as BMW have. And it's the same type of hose. So those doesn't seem to be interfering with the valve cover removal. But the next thing, it would be the toughest bolt would be right there on top. It's Torx 30 and it's shortest distance to the frame basically. So we'll need either, there's I know there's the tool is those like Allen keys, L-shaped keys, but they are for Torx. So I do have those. The bolt is right here in the very corner of it. Let me shine some light on it directly. Yeah, this bolt right there. It's not extremely impossible to remove, so I think this is the hardest one. The rest is just, you just have to follow the valve cover and remove it one by one. There is another ground wire right here on top, so remove that, Torx 30 as well. And as I'm following along, I think this is it. This is all I can see. The rest is unobstructed. So there are bolts right here, other corner, but there's plenty of room. We just need to move the wiring out of the way, and that's pretty much it. By the way, those are the oxygen sensors, so they go right here. As you can see, they're different, gray and green. So those are different oxygen sensor, and you can see here, this is the green one, pre-cat, and this is the gray one, post-cat. So you can't mix them up. All right, let me remove the bolts and we'll see what happens. So before we do, the usual spots of the valve cover leaks, I mean, this is the Boxster engine, so anything here, it's like that's the #1 place. Anything along the lines in here. As you can see, this one is clear, but if we move to the other side, let's check the other side out. That's the driver's side. Check out this buildup. So this is all oil coming from the valve cover gasket here on top. And as you remember, exhaust manifold is right here. So the common symptom is when you step out of the car and you smell this after a drive, you smell this burning oil. It's not probably smoking like BMWs do, but that's how it feels like. So because the exhaust manifold is right here, the oil will leak directly to it, and that's what's happening. So this is the last ground wire right here, and it's held by Torx 40. It's really not enough room in there, so what I used is a bit like this. This is a Torx 40 and 6mm 12-point wrench on the other end. So it's, you have to be very careful to install it in and then use the wrench and just loosen it. After you loosen it, it's like you can reach in and take the bolt out. It's like nothing else really holds. It's like the initial move you have to do is hard, but the rest of it, it's pretty simple. So it sits there like this. You can put it in and put the wrench over it and loosen it. That's all it is. I'm going to be using the same bit, the Torx 30, for the top bolt over there. So that's because there's definitely not enough room in there. With Torx 30s though, there is a little secret. The Torx 27 works really good with Torx 30, but you have to be extremely careful not to break it. But it's doable. It's possible to do, since in most cases the Torx 27 is 1/4 inch. And Torx 30 is 3/8. But it's like we are almost clear of everything and almost ready to remove the valve covers soon for sure. So those are two top bolts for the valve cover. They are located right up in here and it's very tight. So the way I remove it, I took the, what is it? This is Torx 40. This Torx 30 bit, basically I have to put it between my fingers like this and just go over there. It's like, let's say, put an example on one of those bolts. So I just go there, I put it in, because it will stay in the bolt just like that. And then you put the 12.6mm wrench over and turn it. After you break it loose, that's it. Just take it by fingers, and those two bolts are, I think, the toughest. I wanted to show you guys, but it's just my hand will be covering everything. One of them is right here. The other one, I don't even see it. I only could feel it. So it's right there where I'm pointing out. So straight from the spark plug well right here all the way right there in the back. That's where it will be. The rest is, I mean, the top bolts are kind of difficult, but not as difficult as those two because there is more room in there. So I don't think I need to point out how to do that. I'll remove those. Don't forget also the center bolts, the one right here, there, 4 in the middle as it seems. And I will also, I think I'll remove the solenoid for variable timing. And let me see this. Yeah, let's take this out. Yeah, I think the valve cover crankcase ventilation hose can be removed from here pretty easily, just like on any BMW. And yeah, let me show you how. I'm gonna be using the pick tool like this, although the problem is, like, I'm lying on my back here, I can't hold the tension, and I'm using the flashlight to point out where it is. But yeah, one corner after another, and this hose, it's a squeeze and release connector, sort of, like, yeah, it's not that tight. So I'll remove it from the bottom. So I don't want to twist it and turn it. One way of doing it, it's like basically you can put the pick tool right there and leave it, so it will create tension, but I think mine is already loose, sort of. Or is it? Feels kind of tight. Let me get a feel of it. Just don't want to break it while removing the valve cover. All right. It looks like we do have some tension. I do have a gap. I'm just trying to be as gentle as possible with this hose, because I know they do break, and I bet the replacement is a large pain in the butt. Okay, it's sliding out. You guys don't see it, but I do. It's kind of very tight in there. Let me see if I can remove it by hand. Yep, the hose is out. There it is, right here, free of the valve cover. So this is removed. And now the top bolts. I don't think we need to remove this wiring hub. It shouldn't be on the way, I believe. But if it is, I'll figure out how to take it out. Doesn't seem to be much connected to anything. All right, all clear. So all the bolts are out. The top ones you definitely can't see, but you definitely can feel them. And let's try it out. It's moving. There's one bolt on top right here, which is E10, I think. Yeah, it's a E10 you have to remove, I believe. Let me see if there's a... There are no others. Expect some oil to come out. I think there's one more side bolt that goes this way. So one was right here, and I can feel the other one, yeah, at the bottom of it. So those are E10s. Let's see. Important part, in order to remove the valve cover, we not only have 20 Torx 30 bolts, we also have to remove this part of the PCV system. Those are E10 bolts and they facing this way, so it's 1 and 2 right here. So those are difficult to even figure out how to remove. And then there is, if you follow this piece right here down, there's a third one, because it needs to be separated, so it needs to be a little bit flexible, and only then you can remove the valve cover entirely. This is where it connects right here. That's why we need to clear this, what, ½ inch, maybe a little less than that. So just clear the valve cover off of this PCV part and remove it fully. Now let's clean it up and put it back. Now, important part is to clean all the grooves where the valve cover goes. Now I'm using L-ring valve cover gasket. Had really good experience with it for years with BMW, so now I'm just gonna be putting it into the Porsche. We'll see how it does. I'm trying to not use any silicone at all because I don't like it. It's better to have seals without silicone. This one doesn't seem to be holding up pretty good, but we're not going to be flipping it over like on a regular car, so this is all it takes, sideways. And it seems to be sitting good in all the grooves, and as you saw, the factory seal had 0 silicone anywhere. So yeah, let's put it back. And I already replaced the spark plugs. There is nothing special in there, just regular 16mm socket for any spark plug works. So let's clean the surface and put the valve cover back in place. Definitely keep an eye on the seal. That's the most important part. The PCV part is the most difficult once again. Oh, I see. There we go. The piece of plastic sticking out from the wiring harness on top, that was the major obstacle. After we clear that, everything good as new. I'll just put a few bolts in. From here, since we do have the seal in place, I want to make sure that it's even everywhere. And now I'm going to install all the bolts, make them hand tight, and after that the PCV, those bolts. So the valve cover is finally fully on. A few advices basically to complete the job. Start with those bolts, the valve cover bolts. I start usually from the center, so hand tight first, everything, then the top ones and the bottom, of course. And the torquing, I don't use Torx specs. Common sense works the best for me with the BMWs. Porsche is no different, trust me. The pattern of torquing, I use kind of a BMW pattern, but it applies to any engine pretty much. So I start, let's say, with this corner, then other corner, bottom, top, so it's a crisscross pattern, and then the center, all of them in the center, and then top, bottom. So that will make sure the seal will sit properly and everything will be fine. So after we've done that, this part of a plastic PCV PCV system basically, then we install those bolts. Those are E10s, 3 of them, and torque them down, of course. So after that, everything is pretty much back to where it's supposed to be. Now we can take all the wires back, and the wires, that's the thing about them, wires want to go where they want to go. So you can't mess up the ground wires. Remember those 2 in here, there's another one right there, then all the ignition coils and oxygen sensors, of course. So yeah, I'll put everything back where it's supposed to be, all the clips, all the wirings, and I think that's pretty much it, guys. That's all it is. After that, everything is pretty straightforward. All the exhaust components and everything else, it's like a no-brainer, pretty much. Just don't forget this bracket right here for exhaust. And that's it. This is it, guys. I hope this video was helpful. This is definitely uncomfortable repair. I wouldn't say it's difficult. It's just a little bit challenging to reaching those bolts that you don't see and don't have much room to fit any tools basically. But it's doable, as you saw. It's like nothing special actually needed to complete the job. So drop a like, share the video, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.